welcome to West Virginia Sports Connection. We are coming to you from Adelphia Sports Bar and Grill in downtown Charleston, West Virginia. I'm your host, Tracy Abdella, and I'm joined by my co-host, three-time NFL All-Pro Carl Lee. Carl, man, you missed a good time this past weekend.
Well, I'm not really used to being in that much blue and gold, so I'm sure I wasn't overly missed. How about that?
You know, we took the crew up there, and, you know, we talked to a bunch of people, and, I mean, it was electric. I mean, everybody was so hyped up there. They were even giving away gold toboggans to everybody that walked in so they could have like a gold rush there. It was pretty exciting.
It's a big game. I mean, there was a lot riding on this game for everybody. So,
man, so much riding. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, and man, it's disappointing because we thought they had an outside shot at the playoffs about 2 weeks ago. You know, they're 8-1, they're riding high, then they lost to Oklahoma State, and then, you know, the crazy game at Oklahoma. And it was crazy, but we had such a good time that the crew and I got a bunch of footage, and we kind of want to show you what that atmosphere was like up in Morgantown.
A quarterback and team captain from Charlotte, North Carolina, number 7, Will Greer.
You get half. So that was our trip up to Morgantown. We had a really fun time. It was really exciting. Kind of ended in a disappointment, but I mean, Carl, we had touchdowns, we had turnovers, we had Antonio Brown, for crying out loud, you know. And I mean, it was just a really fun time. But unfortunately, it didn't turn out right. But we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we got a couple of guests. Former WVU players. We've got John Pennington, the head coach at West Virginia State University, and Ricky Sherrod. Come back, it's going to be a fun time.
West Virginia Sports Connection is brought to you by Subway, Development of West Virginia, Greg Hammond. With promotional consideration from Spriggs Distributing Company, Yingling Golden Pilsner, Hendrickson and Long, Riggs Commercial Realty, Angel Moore, broker.
Welcome back to West Virginia Sports Connection. We are coming to you from Adelphia Sports Bar and Grill, and we're joined with a couple of friends of ours. John Pennington from the West Virginia State University football program, Ricky Sherrod, trainer, both former WVU football players, something near and dear to Carl's heart here. Guys, I got to ask you a question. You know, as a fan, I mean, I know what it was like to lose playing in high school. I mean, it's never fun. Nobody likes to lose. But you see fans almost take it to the far extreme, way more than it seems like the players are. But I'm going to ask you guys, because you all played at the highest level, what is it like for a loss like that? I mean, they had everything to gain, and then it just doesn't work out.
I mean, I think that there's losses that'll just bring you to your knees. You know, as a player and a coach, I mean, you put so much effort, so much work into that, not only for that week, but you got to think as a football player, you work 365 days for 11 opportunities. And when you get a big one like that and you have it at the tip of your fingers, and when you lose it, it's just crushing in that locker room. And more as the head coach, usually I'm good in the locker room, and then when I get home, my wife has to deal with me because I'm a mess. But as a player, you took it hard. Yeah, took it hard right away.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because what is it like for your wives? What is it like for your family? Because I mean, I would assume you can't just turn it off.
No, you can't. You can't turn it off, but you can't take it out on your wife. She's usually the bearer that, you know, like, you know, why didn't Ricky do this? I just don't understand. I told him this early in the game. You know, so you go through all of that as a player. You never really judging your teammates. You're trying to figure out, what did I not do? How could I have done something more to help us win this game? what did I do to hurt the game? You know, everybody's been in that situation. So it's just a miserable feeling. And however bad the fan feels, you have no idea how bad the coach or the players feel, because it's them actually out there. So I'm sure Ricky has that, he understands that as well.
Sure do. You know, everybody hates to lose, you know, especially a big game like that with so much riding on it. But, you know, you have some guys that take it harder than others. But one thing's for sure, you know, you have to regroup, pick up, saddle up, and get ready for next week. You know, you can't spend too much time dwelling on that loss. Yeah, it's over. Yeah, it hurt us. Yeah, it knocked us out of the playoffs and whatever else. You know, but we still have some more football to play. So you got to turn your attention and focus toward what we have left and finish strong.
What happens when there's no next week? I mean, they don't have a next week. Obviously, they're going to get a bowl bid, and it'll be a decent bowl, but it's not going to be a BCS bowl. It's not going to obviously be the playoffs. What then? What happens then?
You know, when you win the last game of the year, it always feels good. You know, so when you lose it, it always feels, it just puts a horrible outlook on the season in that moment. You know, when you step back from it, like Rick said, you know, that's a great point. You need to come speak to my team on a Sunday, you know, after a loss. But they regroup, you know, but in that moment, you know, when you lose the last game of the year, it just feels like, it just puts such a damper on the season. And when you win it, even if your record isn't great, you still feel like, okay, we won the last, you know, we did some things right here, but at the end of the day, you can look back and think, hey, this was, you know, they maybe not right now, but 8-3, they're going to get to a pretty good bowl. You know, they had a good year. They were this close to having a great year, and right now they might not be able to see it, but they will.
Well, you know, the Oklahoma game, I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen this. I've watched football for a long time, played it for a short time, watched it for a long time. I don't know that I've ever seen a team score 8 touchdowns offensively and lose. And I think the big turning point was that block out of bounds, man. And we were talking before the show, and, you know, I've heard the pundits and everybody talk on radio that, you know what, I can't believe they made that call, blah, 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 blah. But if we take a look at it, which we're going to take a look at right now, I don't know how they could not have made that call. I mean, I guess they could have let it slide. They could have called it home cooking. Maybe they didn't see it. I don't know. But, I mean, it was pretty clear that,
pretty
you know,
obvious.
when
Well, home team fans don't want to. They don't want to see it. You know.
That, you know, when it's, I mean, here it's Kennedy McCoy. What a great run. And here's the block. And I think that's T.J. Simmons. Great kid. But look, I mean, he's 5-7 yards out of bounds, still blocking that guy.
He's beyond the white.
Not to mention he's twice the guy's size.
Yeah.
So just pin him just like you're doing and let him go.
And it didn't even. If you look at it, the block was crucial. I mean, it was crucial there in the playing field. But then to keep going, and you can see the ref just looking at him like, all right. I mean, it's like he doesn't even want to pull it, but it's so far out of bounds.
He had to.
Man. So then that happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 plays later, Oklahoma's already scored 1 defensive touchdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 plays later, they hit Will. He's got a guy so wide open that if he can just get that pass off, it's 7. But it was 7 the other way because he got blasted and they picked it up. And I don't know any game where I've seen, I mean, I guess maybe I have over the years, 2 strips for touchdown returns in the same game, especially with so much on the line.
You know, part of this, I really feel like it's because we've gone to this passing game. You know, so the odds of bad things happening in the passing game, that is why everybody talks about running the football. Championships are won by running the football. And football has changed now, and it's about throwing the football. So now you can get a strip of the quarterback and a scoop and score. It's just more available to you.
What happened to that old adage that when you throw the ball, 3 things can happen and 2 of them are bad? but yet all of a sudden, I mean, and you know, let's face it, we all love the pass. I mean, it's exciting. They're long passes. I mean, it's fun. But when 2 out of the 3 things that are bad, and obviously we saw the bad this week. I mean, where as coaches, you're a former coach. You're a coach right now. Where does this come from?
Well, I mean, I know for WVU, they have one of the best players in the country. And I think as a coach, your job is to put your best players in a position to be successful. So if I have a quarterback like that, I'm definitely throwing the ball around quite a bit. But, you know, I think that in a game like that, you know, you have to stress taking care of the ball. And it felt like we were trying to do a little too much, you know, in my opinion. And I think when you're at home in Morgantown, you know, on a Saturday night, I don't think you really, with that quarterback, I don't know if you have to do as much as we were trying to do.
I mean, they were running well, and clearly there was. And I gotta ask you, you guys are defensive players. Yes. I gotta ask you, man. There's no defense in that game. I mean, yeah, Oklahoma got 2 defensive touchdowns, but you know what? They're giving us a cue. We got to take another break. I want to come back to that where, you know, you guys are defensive players. So when we come back, we'll talk about that. And I want us to talk about some of the coaching changes that may have happened and may or may not happen. Listen, you can check us out on Network West Virginia on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Apple iTunes, and our website at WVSportsConnection.com. And if you like what you see, we sure would love to have you for sponsors. Check us out on our website. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
You can do and you can say anything you want. Live your life and I'll live mine any way I want. You can have and you can take anything you want. But everything that you do, make it what you want. Anything you want, and I want. You can do and you can say anything you want. But everything that you do, make it what you want.
This isn't just a beer. It's a lager. A medium-bodied, amber-colored, one-of-a-kind beer. Made from those bold enough to brew it, for those bold enough to drink it. Tap into your inner eagle. Yingling Traditional Lager. Spread your wings.
It's football season again, and Tony the Tailor has the perfect sportswear, outerwear, and footwear. Johnny O quarter zips and sports shirts, Bill's khakis, and boots from Allen Edmonds are what the smart people are wearing this season for game time and play time. We have a great selection in our downtown Charleston store, or shop at our new downtown Huntington location. Can't make it in? Shop online at bestmastertailor.com. Tony the Tailor, West Virginia's finest men's store.
Welcome back to West Virginia Sports Connection. We are coming to you from Adelphia Sports Bar and Grill in downtown Charleston. Joined again with John Pennington and Ricky Sherrod. Guys, when we went out of the break there before my producer so rudely cut us off, I'm just playing, guys. Defense. You guys are defensive players. Do games like that drive you nuts?
Drive you completely crazy, you know? Drive you completely crazy. You think to yourself, you know, how do we stop these guys, you know? There's no reason you shouldn't be able to keep guys from putting points on the board. But as we see, there's a lot of athletes out there. It's more of a passing league. There's athletes everywhere now. So what they do is they spread the ball out, get the ball in the athletes' hands, and let them run, let them make plays.
And I'd add to that, the rules allow the game to be at this pace. And again, it's kind of like when you look at basketball, everybody wants to be fast-paced, getting up and down the floor. Football has kind of copied that model, and the way that they do that is through the passing game. So they had to adjust the rules because, as we talked about before, you're not getting a lot, back in our day, you're not getting a lot of receivers wanting to run a post pattern, and if they run one, they're probably not running a second one. And today,
why is that, Carl?
well, I'm just saying that it was just a tad more physical. And now you can go in, make that catch, and not have to worry about getting hit. And I think, when you start looking at the quarterbacks, you're also, looking at a situation where they don't expect to get hit. They don't even know how to fall. So a lot of times we're seeing these balls get knocked out of their hands, or they drop the ball because they're trying not to go down. Old school quarterbacks, if a D lineman was close, they just go down.
Yeah.
Now these guys are like trying to hold up, and now they got the balls exposed, and I think all of these are causing a major problem.
When you can't hit a guy, all right, and I want to get your perspective as a wide receiver. When you can't hit a guy, even like you could 5-10 years ago, I don't know how you play defense. I honestly don't know how you play defense, and you're seeing it in college, you're seeing it in pros, and you can't touch them. I don't get it.
Well, to Ricky's point about like how to, just people scoring, like I can't imagine being in the game. I've never been in a game as a defensive back covering a receiver who's going to catch 13 passes or something like that for 200 yards and even remotely think I had a good day, even if we won. So I don't even know how. Picture this, okay? So you've given up 3 touchdown passes and your team won. and everybody's celebrating in the locker room. How are you as a corner just gave up 3 touchdowns? How are you celebrating that? I mean, I don't even know how I don't know how a defense, like, okay, so you're Oklahoma. That defense gave up a number of yards. It's crazy. And so you win the game and you're celebrating. And so that makes it okay. I mean, that's the piece that's crazy.
Everything.
Yeah, the win all of a sudden defines everything. It doesn't matter how many times I got beat. Yeah. I mean, I could play in this era, because it doesn't matter how many times you get beat as long as the team wins. Yeah. As long as coach gets a touchdown pass and we win the game, I'm good.
John, you were a wide receiver. How much fun? It wasn't like that when you were playing.
I was playing against Rick.
You didn't play that long ago. So, I mean, how much of a field day would you have now?
Oh, I mean, I'd kill it. I'd have 10 touchdowns. No, I mean, I wasn't that type of receiver. I was more of a, spread it out in the middle, kind of a possession type guy. But, I mean, I think Carl's exactly right. It's the rules of the game have changed, and obviously you got great minds on the offensive side of the ball that are figuring out a way to manipulate that, and taking the physicality away from the defense definitely helps the offensive player. And I think, the teams that can get away with more of that physical play are going to be the ones that get stops. And either that or you better have a guy that can get to that quarterback, like Bruce Irvin, I mean, you better find that guy. It's the only way to get, consistent stops.
We did post-game interviews. We went to post-game, and one of the questions, I actually asked Holgerson is what was it like, to coach Will Greer? And he didn't give, I don't want to say the standard answer, but then he gave a good answer. He said it was a pleasure. He's almost like a coach on the field. You like hearing things like that. He said it was special. He said special 3 or 4 different times. And then Greer came in, and we interviewed Greer, and he was asked, not by me, but by somebody else, well, are you going to play in the bowl game? And he was very non-committal. He just said, you know what? He said, I'm not even thinking about that. I thought we were going to be playing next week. When you're in that kind of mindset, I can't imagine.
Good answer.
I don't know how you guys answer those questions after a game like that. How do you muster up the wherewithal, the ability to just go and answer these questions that I'm pretty sure you don't want to answer?
I got beat in Washington for a game-winning touchdown for Washington. It was a hitch. Coach had told us to back off. We were playing bump and run. Coach told us to back off, which was not my forte. And I'm playing against Clark, from the Redskins. Throws a hitch. Now I got to tackle him in space. I miss him. He gets a touchdown. We lose the game. So I'm sitting in my locker, and of course now you know what's happening. All the media is coming to me, and the first question comes out is like, "So what happened?" like, did you not see it? And now I'm trying to be calm, but I'm mad. And so I'm like, okay, so what happened was, quarterback threw him the ball, I missed a tackle, it's a touchdown, game's over. Okay, but can you kind of explain it? It's like they won't stop. Yeah. And it is. It's horrible. And I know that the idea for them is to get a story. Mm-hmm. But it's a pass, it's a catch, it's a missed tackle, it's a touchdown, the game's over. You can't build a story around it.
You can't elaborate on that because it is what it is.
Yeah, there's nothing else you can really say.
One thing I really liked, we talked to David Sills, he again, was asked the same question: are you going to play in a bowl game? He said 100%. There wasn't a hesitation. He said 100%. They said, well, do you think Will and some of the other guys are? And he said, well, I'd be very surprised if everybody didn't. So I'm almost wondering, was that, as players, was that a kind of subtle message that, hey, we all came back together. We need to finish together?
I just think everybody approaches games, situations differently. Seals, he's a good player. I like watching him a lot. I just think that he just likes playing football. Doesn't matter where he's at. He's going to want to play football as long as he's playing. And I think Will Greer, he's got a little bit more at stake. He's expected to be, Heisman candidate, maybe a draft, first-round draft pick, of course. So maybe in the back of his mind, he's thinking about that, because one thing that can happen, and we all know this, you can get hurt any time on this field.
Absolutely. With that, we got to take another commercial break. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
You can do and you can say anything you want. Live your life and I'll live mine any way I make it anything you want, and I want. You can do and you can say anything you want, but everything that you do, make it what you want.
This isn't just a beer. It's a lager. A medium-bodied, amber-colored, one-of-a-kind beer. Made from those bold enough to brew it, for those bold enough to drink it. Tap into your inner eagle. Yingling Traditional Lager. Spread your wings.
It's football season again, and Tony the Tailor has the perfect sportswear, outerwear, and footwear. Johnny O quarter zips and sport shirts, Bill's khakis, and boots from Allen Edmonds are what the smart people are wearing this season for game time and play time. We have a great selection in our downtown Charleston store, or shop at our new downtown Huntington location. Can't make it in? Shop online at bestmastertailor.com. Tony the Tailor, West Virginia's finest men's store.
West Virginia Sports Connection is brought to you by Subway, Development of West Virginia, Greg Hammond. With promotional consideration from Spriggs Distributing Company, Yingling Golden Pilsner, Hendrickson and Long, Riggs Commercial Realty, Angel Moore, broker.
Welcome back to West Virginia Sports Connection. Our guests are still here, John Pennington and Ricky Sherrod, and we are very glad that you're still here. Rick, when we went out, I'm sorry I had to cut you off. We were talking, what Will Greer has at stake. I mean, 2 weeks ago, he's definitely in the top 3 of the Heisman. Is he still there, and is he risking really millions in the future if he plays this game?
It's always going to be a risk if you decide to play, in an all-star game, but that's just, the decision that he has to make for himself. I had a chance to play in a couple of all-star games my senior year, and I chose to play in one game, instead of both games. Where some guys choose to play in none, or some guys may play in both. It just depends on, I believe, your status and your stock, depending on how well you did, where you're projected to go. A lot of other factors go into, decision-making, making a decision like that, because it can affect, how his outcome, may be here, up in the upcoming draft. So, like I say, if he were to decide to play and get hurt, that would really hurt his chances.
I want to talk about coaching here in a second, but I want to ask you guys, if it were you, do you play because you're literally risking generational money?
I think he's got a wife and a kid too. He's a little bit different college athlete. I mean, it would be tough to play in a lower tier bowl. I think I would. Just being honest, I probably wouldn't play. I'd probably go on to the NFL and let some younger guys play and get some experience.
And I was the first one to say, like, when I first heard guys not playing in a bowl game, I was like, what? What are you talking about? That makes no sense. You got to be part of this team and all that. Now, with the way the money is and the potential future that you could have in the NFL, you just cannot play game. You can't take that risk. As they add more games for more money for NCAA, the more they add the bowls and try to get more teams in those bowls, less guys who have a chance to be in the NFL are going to play in those games. If I'm not in that top 4, you got to convince me why I'm playing. Because if you're telling me I'm a Heisman candidate, I'm a 1, 2, 3 pick, man, don't even call me. You know what I'm saying? And because
I mean, it is.
You know what I'm saying? Don't even call me.
You're set. Your grandkids are set.
Yeah,
I don't know. For anybody to get upset about that, I mean, as fans, yeah, man, we want to see him play. And I'm the same way as you are. But when you sit back and you think about it, man, that's just, I don't know how you can play. I'm not advocating for Will not to play. I'm just saying I completely understand if he doesn't.
If I'm Sills, I'm playing.
Yeah. There's like, if you're, I'll just call it, if you're a play-in to the draft, you got to play in.
Yeah.
You need every snap of every opportunity that they're saying snap up. You need it.
Yeah.
But if every scout's telling you you're a 1, you're a 2, you're a 3, and you're talking about the potential to guarantee millions of dollars, hey, guys, good luck at the game. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, you build these bonds in college and you build these bonds in the pros, but we all know that at some point there's a piece of that has to be about you. And now the fans can get mad at you, but hey, when I'm feeding my family with that first contract that I might not get anything else on, hey, stay mad.
Yeah.
This is all about making money for the NCAA.
Absolutely.
If you're an athlete, you got to go make your money. You can't help the ratings and get all the sponsors for the networks. You can't do it.
I agree. I hate to switch gears, but because we're running out of time, I got to talk about the coaching deal. And I think your all's perspectives are going to be pretty unique on this. Look, there's been a lot of rumors around Dana Holgorsen this past week, right? I mean, Texas Tech, Colorado. What was the other one? I can't even think now. But he's had at least
few.
3 or 4 Division I schools show a lot of interest in him that have more resources than West Virginia does. And then just today, his OC, Jake Spavital, gone. Now he's the head coach at Texas State. So where should Holgorsen stay? Do you think he should stay here?
I'm gonna take that question and ask a question. Does WVU fans want him to stay? And I think for him, I think that's his question. That's the question he needs to ask, because if they don't, if they don't like what I'm doing, then it's time for me to go. If they love it, and the question, and I think if you ask that question to yourself, you'd say, now you might see a reason why he'd leave.
I saw social media. I saw on Facebook there was which coach do you fire? And there was 3 coaches, and it listed their resumes before they were head coaches and when they were head coaches at West Virginia, and they were all within 2 or 3 games of each other in wins and losses and bowl wins and bowl losses. And one was Bobby Bowden, one was Don Nehlen, one was Dana Holgorsen. And I looked at that and I was like, well, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not downing West Virginia, but we're not Miami. We're not Texas. We're not Oklahoma. We're not Alabama. It's hard to get people to come play here. So as a coach, John, what do you tell Holgorsen? If he came and said, John, what do you think I ought to do? What would you say?
I don't know why you would make a lateral move, unless, like I think Carl makes a great point. Like, do the fans want him? And does he know that? And do the fans know that? I don't think there's either strong view either way. It's kind of in the middle been the whole time, but I don't know why you'd make a lateral move. I mean, unless it's be closer to home or more resources, yeah. But we're going to be in the top of the Big 12 year in, year out. Maybe not number 1 every year, but right now, last couple of years we've been top 3 in the Big 12, 3 or 4. So with a chance to crack it. So it's not like you're not that far away from a BCS. So I don't know why you'd leave.
And I think, and you're right. I think the fans are split right down the middle. Half of them want to see him go. After that game, fire Holgorsen. The other guy's like, what do you mean fire him? He's a great coach. They came within a whisper of this and that. And, I think if he stays at West Virginia, I've seen a progression for this guy. He's never been a head coach before when he came here, right? And he was supposed to be what? The offensive coordinator or whatever you want to call it for the first year. Well, that didn't work out. He got thrust into the head coaching position faster than he was supposed to. And I think the guy's done a good job, and I think he's grown into it. He hasn't done a great job. And I'll be the first to say it. And his record hasn't been great in those other games, but I think he's a good coach for West Virginia. I agree with John. I don't think he should make a lateral move. And I would love to continue this discussion, but they're telling me we're out of time. Will you guys come back?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Great. I really appreciate it. Hey, listen, if you like it, you can check us out on Network West Virginia on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Apple iTunes, and our website at WVSportsConnection.com. We're always looking for sponsors, so you can check us out. Any information, if you'd like to be a part of this show, on our website as well. We'll see you next time.